Welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute devotional podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse. Broadcast from the ever-beautiful Sharonville, Ohio, on the sunny side of Cincinnati. Hey there, friends. Welcome back to Daily Dose Radio here in the Bible Bistro. And if you're listening across Podcast Addict, I would like to welcome you to our listening audience, as well as those that are listening across Deezer. We've just added these 2 new platforms to our social media empire. I know I joke a lot about that, but really, Daily Dose Radio is on a lot of them. iHeartRadio and iTunes and YouTube and Spreaker and Twitter and SoundCloud and Stitcher and Spotify. It also can be found on CastBox, TuneIn Radio, and now Podcast Addict and Deezer. Thank you for listening. You are joining a global audience here in Daily Dose Radio. You know, when we sit down together every day, it's just you and me doing Bible study together, but actually there are thousands of people that are joining us every day, and they're joining us from places all around the world. I hope that you'll keep that in mind and pray for your brothers and sisters all over the world as we study together the Psalms. So today we're looking at Psalm 114. That's all this week. Beginning today with verses 1 and 2, we've ended the Hallelujah Psalms. Of course, not all of them. We still have some more Hallelujah Psalms to come. But that little section, 111 through 113, we ended that last week. And today we're in Psalm 114. And Psalm 114 is another one of those orphanic psalms. That is, there's no author attributed to this psalm. It just starts and comes to an end, and we don't know who wrote it, but man, do we know the subject. Again, we're extolling the greatness of God, but in a little bit different way. This is the greatness of God in His relationship to His people. The relationship of God to His people really colors everything that we find here in Psalm 114. So let's begin by looking at verses 1 and 2 today. When Israel went out from Egypt, the house of Jacob from a people of a strange language, Judah was his sanctuary, and Israel his dominion. Now, immediately we know the setting, right? We know the context here. This is the deliverance. This is the Exodus story, when Israel went out from Egypt, or out of Egypt. So we know what happened. We know the signs that the Lord executed upon Pharaoh and the Egyptian people. We know how all that came to a close. We know about the victory that the people of Israel gained in that deliverance, and how God took them to be His very own people. And we have these lovely couplets all the way through here. We have these couplets. When Israel went out from Egypt, the house of Jacob from a people of a strange language. So, and we understand how the couplets work here in the Psalms. I mean, we've been reading the Psalms now for quite a while. So we understand, we have part A and a part B, and there's parallelism. And that parallelism is what really composes the heart of Hebrew poetry. Instead of rhyme like what we have in an English language or in another romantic language, what we have here in this Semitic context is we have parallelism, and we have this beautiful development of imagery as related to one idea. So Israel went out from or of Egypt, the house of Jacob from a people of a strange language. So you see how Israel and Egypt now are further developed by the parallel. The house of Jacob, a people of a strange language. Now, in the Hebrew text, we don't have the people of a strange language. We have the people of Uz, or Luz, rather. And Luz is another name for the people of Ethiopia. Egypt and Ethiopia were very tightly connected. The Egyptians and the Ethiopians, that whole region of land was considered tightly related. And so we have the parallelism then expressing that where the Israel came from. Look at verse 2. Again, we have some more parallelism here because we have another Hebrew couplet. Judah was his sanctuary and Israel his dominion. So Judah and Israel follow Israel and Jacob in verse 1. Now it's Judah and Israel, and we have sanctuary and dominion. This follows very closely with what we have there in Exodus chapter 19, verse 6, and which is also reflected and taken up by Peter in 1 Peter chapter 2 verse 9. This is a royal priesthood and a holy nation. Judah was his sanctuary. So we see the relationship now between the people that have come out and the his. We're going to explain the his in this psalm. Who are we talking about here? Well, we're talking about none other than the Lord God, right? So Judah was his sanctuary. That is, they were a royal priesthood. Israel, his dominion, the holy nation. And so the dominion and the sanctuary are connected with the people, which is connected with the God who makes them that. And so this relationship between the people and their God is very, very important. And it really frames everything else, all the rest of the action that we're going to have in this psalm. Well, I see I've gone a little bit long today, but this was important for us to get kicked off on right. So hope you'll join me again tomorrow. We'll look at verses 3 and 4 on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. I'm David Smith. The music today has been performed by the Bluegrass Experiment. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on Daily Dose Radio.